Creation has an insatiable lust to move forward, to grow, to evolve. Some of the deepest joy and happiness we can experience comes from living at our edge on a daily basis, finding ways to overcome our weak ways and move forward a little bit. I think back on my life, and each day I'm most joyous, most happy when I work a little bit better. When I take my practice of, simply being content now with the sunset a little deeper. When I love a little deeper. Whatever we can do to be living at our edge right here and now, especially in our work, in our relationships, and in our health, when we can move forward and live at our edge, truly, that is the source of all happiness. Great cheer comes from a limitation being overcome, a resistance giving way to new life. And if we look at life, my friends, there's so many challenges, internally and externally. Suffering comes to us in the form of misfortune, pain, all these things. And living at your edge in that circumstance can look like bearing that burden well. Fyodor Dostoevsky, I think I said his name right, once said that I fear nothing more than not being worthy of the burdens, not being worthy of the sufferings I bear. He fears nothing more than that. Great suffering itself can be an opportunity for self-overcoming, for living at your edge. Resistance, fear, we have resistance to doing our work, to living our best life right here and now. When we can take that fear, that resistance, right, that negative internal force, and overcome it and move forward despite it, we feel so much joy, right? When you start on that book you've been wanting to write, when you dive into the skill you've been wanting to gain, or dive into the craft you've been wanting to finish, so much joy and flow result from that act of overcoming. Now, this is something interesting here. Whether it's suffering, whether it's fear, whether it's resistance, the act of self-overcoming, of heroism in moments throughout the day, right, is literally what brings the powers of the beyond into the mortal sphere. When we can act, in the ways of self-overcoming, when we can overcome ourselves, we essentially elevate the spirit above the mortal circumstances. This is the highest end of yoga, of philosophy, of esotericism. In many ways, is the elevation of the spirit above mortal circumstances, to step back and embody the superior self, the superior way, the superior man within. When we can do that in the midst of resistance, fear, sufferings of all kinds, right? We enact heroism and birth new life from the divine into the earthly realm. It is one of the highest callings of man. We embodied here in this mortal flesh that has all these pains and pleasures, right? In this crazy world where we lose things we love, we lose people we love, shit's hard, we live in a very crazy, chaotic time right now. But to be strong and move on the true will, to move on that superior self, wow, that act of self-overcoming brings forth so much joy, because you are delighting you're delighting in the higher joys of life. So right now, no matter what you're feeling, the act of bearing this circumstance, the challenges in front of you well, is one of the highest acts of heroism and brings forth all higher feelings of joy, courage, delight, right? Suffering well. That's just a reminder for you. Last thing I want to hit on is happiness is an inward power of the soul. Happiness is an inward power of the soul. The warrior resolves to be happy and moves into his day, right? Think about that and take that with you into the next step, the next action. How can you live more at your edge today? And watch how your inner positivity unfolds. Watch how your life unfolds. Thanks for watching Wisdom Warriors. I'm Christian. Have a great day.